Other yellow hat guy here, back with another video. Happy New Year? No, we've already addressed that. Happy Chinese New Year. Ah, see? Got you there. And with that came something that I was anticipating but hoping wouldn't catch up with me. Well, first and foremost, we got the YouTube monetization, and I don't know when this video will go up, so I'm saying it now because I may decide to put it up first, depending on how I feel. Maybe you hear me talk about it on stream, maybe you hear me mention it in a Mario Maker, but I'm sorry if you're hearing it for the third or fourth time. That's where we're at. But what I was actually anticipating besides that was jury duty. I was anticipating not being selected so I can put it past me and move on for, the next couple of years, because, I think it's every 2-3 years or something like that. They can ask you to come back again if need be. And it's like this. Hey, man, when I'm unemployed, because that happens sometimes, where are the calls then? Where are these letters then? Because I could use the money then. Now, 2013, I was called, and when I came up, I was hoping, hey, keep me there as long as you need to, because I'm not working right now. And hopefully, not only does it give me some money, but, I can learn something about the legal system. Great. Well, that trial was moved, and how that works is if it's moved into another state or whatever, then they don't need anybody. And that's what happened. So, I say that to say this. They hit me back again January last year, and I was in Greenville, South Carolina working, and that was my excuse. Like, hey, I can't make this. I'm out of state. So I got excused then, but then when I went back to Greenville, North Carolina, well, there's no excuse then. They could still pull me, but I got to show reason why I can't make it, and since I finished that assignment and I'm doing something different now, well, I don't really have an excuse, right? So, what is jury duty like? Because they got me. Now, there's some tragic stuff happening in the world right now. We had a celebrity sports hero pass away. We've got this coronavirus. No, not the beer. Like some kind of virus that stems from some animal somewhere out in China. I don't know all the details, but, it's the 1920s all over again. But now the 2020s. It's the roaring 20s. The Depression. Be careful, kids. All of that going on, and that's what kept me away from making videos in addition to the jury duty. So the reality is I had to go back in and deal with this. And they kept me on a string, okay? January 6th is when this was supposed to start. And each week following that, it was like, call up and let us know. Call up, and we'll let you know if we need you. And they didn't need me any of that time, but one time they called and they were like, or I called and they were like, this is the automated system. Automated system. Yes, and I'm not going to put my name out there, obviously. Oh, well, yes, Mr. Hat Guy. Because that's my real name, right? You're not needed Monday, but check back in tomorrow to find out if you're still needed for Wednesday. Really? So I called them Sunday like I normally do, because that's what they wanted you to do. Then they tell me they don't need me Monday, but to call Tuesday to find out if they need me Wednesday. Like, what? So I'm supposed to somehow tell my employer this. So I just had it on speakerphone so he could hear, and messaged him when I got home after work, after calling that number, because you have to call precisely at 5. If you call earlier than that, well, doesn't really matter. Calling earlier than that, it could change. It could be different afterwards. So, that out of the way, I showed up 8 o'clock in the morning, reluctantly. I was mad. I mean, you guys know what RBF is? If not, Google RBF. and you'll know I had the worst case this side of a Fayetteville, North Carolina DMV employee. Don't talk to me. There's nothing to talk about. I don't want to be here. I'm losing money. I'm trying to keep my lights on, keep my mortgage up to date, and you guys want to pay me minimum wage for 5 days or however? I don't have time for that. Don't have time for that. I got moves to make, videos to make, and I was just overwhelmed, and I felt like I was gonna, if I end up getting a stroke, heaven forbid, knock on wood, if I ever get one of those, this jury duty is part of how that stemmed. Okay? So, you get in there and it's different from a regular courtroom. In this courtroom, you're not lumped in with people who are going on trial. It's you and other jurors, and it's still secure. You gotta go in, metal detectors and all that. People want to act friendlier, but it's like, look, dude, this is not a service. Like, it is, but it's more of a disservice to me. Yeah, you're giving me some chump change, but that's peanuts compared to what I'm making on my regular job for most people. It would be nice if, all employers paid for you to do the jury duty time, because then it wouldn't be so painful to miss out. But as a contractor, you don't show up, you don't get paid. That's the nature of the business for me. So money aside, you're like, hey, that's a civic duty. What if it was somebody that you knew that was on trial? It's like, and? If it's somebody I knew I was on trial, that's apples and oranges. This is somebody I likely don't know, and if it was somebody I did know, I couldn't be there. But the real question was, what if it was somebody you knew who was on that trial and you weren't there? You would want them to get the representation accurately. Of course. But the whole pooling system, the whole draw, it needs to be different. Like when I was unemployed, perfect time to get me. Why aren't they going after the people who are unemployed? You could argue that for so many other things, right? People in prison, wrongfully accused, okay. But rightfully accused? Send them out to Afghanistan or whatever if that's what your agenda is, And I'm not trying to get all political with this video. I realize I'm on my soapbox, but that's my gut feeling. It's like you have people who fit a scenario. Instead of using them, you want to use the everyday citizen, the working class, who is just trying to get by, just trying to make it through. And you're throwing distractions our way instead of, hey, this guy already knows how to kill. Why are we training this everyday Joe who may not have made the best grades in school or who actually chose to go serve the country even military-wise? Why are we putting their lives at risk, and these guys who have already figured out how to do the wrong thing, we're not using them? You know what I mean? Now I'm babbling now. I'm babbling. So, me personally, I feel like it's not my place to judge, like unless it's something clear and obvious, like, hey, this guy murdered people and it's on witness, and we trial him. Or do we try them, as an adult or this, that, third? Sure, go ahead. Do what you got to do. I'm okay with serving on something like that. But anything else that's like, we don't know and there's gray areas here, I'm not interested in that. Because what I would not like is if there's a heaven to be next to this person who's wrongfully accused and be like, hey, bro, I'm sorry I changed the way your life was on earth. Forgive me or whatever. And have to live with that, even though you're in heaven and it's over. You're not living anymore, presumably, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? It's not something you want to have to deal with. But these judges, these lawyers, they got to deal with that. So I actually said that to the judge. My plan was to follow a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. Season 10, episode 1, Larry gets the bright idea, and this is spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. So I'm giving you the count of 3 to pause this and go watch that and come back. Yes, come back. Really pause this and come back. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're back. Larry doesn't want to be around a certain person. Phil Rosenthal, I believe, who's the producer of Everybody Loves Raymond. Anyway, the guy wants to go golfing with him or something and hang out. And Larry gets the bright idea to get a MAGA hat, Make America Great Again hat. So he gets that idea because he sees how there's one guy in the beginning of the episode who has the hat on, and that guy gets a lot of flack from people who were like, "Look at this guy, what a whatever," because people have those feelings about that hat. On the other side, there are people who have feelings that are pro for the hat, right? Larry is riding down, the road and cuts somebody off by accident. The guy's wanting to hurt him, assault him. He switches and puts the hat on. The guy's like, oh, okay, well, watch where you're going next time, Big biker guy, stereotypical, who you would think is on board with that campaign, right? So that said, a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, how can I get out of this jury duty stuff? Maybe if I buy one of those hats, I can get out of it. I couldn't show up with the yellow hat on and get out of it. But the joke was on me because evidently you can't wear hats in the courtroom. Couldn't wear a shirt or anything like that that had Trump stuff on it. None of that stuff. Now, I can't disclose what the trial was about because I'm not supposed to do that. You can't tell your spouse, your neighbor, your coworkers. You can't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to be telling you guys about it. So that's why I preface that here. So Mr. Lawyers who are watching my videos, I'm not divulging the details of the trial, but I will say some of the details of it were pertinent to stuff that I had certain opinions about and didn't feel comfortable being on trial, being a juror for anyway. So on one hand, I didn't feel like doing it for, missing out on work reasons. Second, new liners for my teeth came in, and it was very uncomfortable to talk because this was the first day of those. I had to take them out just to ramble this much in front of you. And then lastly, just the moral reasons. So those are my three reasons. And the judge just kind of scratched his head and realized what I was saying because I had rehearsed all night. I was like, if I can't get this Trump hat, I need to have some kind of real legit reason to get out of this. And I wasn't sure I was going to get the chance to say it because, one, they didn't call me until the very end after dismissing a couple other people who I thought were ringers. And they felt like I looked nervous, so they called, the judge calls me up, and there's this like little white noise that they play in the background to kind of dilute the sound from the others on the bench hearing, but everybody could hear. Everybody can hear. So I said what I told you. Ask not what you can do for, or ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country, right? Or at least I think that's how the Kennedy saying goes. But what my country is asking me is this. If you don't show up, which is what it says here, you don't show up, failure to appear. You see that? Y'all see that? Take a minute to pause and look at that. What it actually says, for those of you who don't want to read it, jurors who fail to report to court when instructed to do so may be fined $1,000 and sentenced to 3 days in jail and community service. All three or any combination determined by the court. Not worth it because you missed jury duty. $1,000, really? And you guys only paid like $50? And that's a lot for this particular case. Some people I know, they only got like $11 or something like that. $30. They were willing to pay $50, so, evidently it's a serious issue, I imagine, but whatever, right? I wasn't going to go to jail for nobody. But you're pushing jail time on me if I don't do what you want to do. Where's the freedom in that? That's forcing somebody to do something that they inherently don't want to do. But it is what it is. I got out of it. I didn't have to wear a political statement. I didn't have to wear a jacket of a certain sports team in light of what's going on to get out of it either. So thank goodness for all of that. It could have gone either way, where you try to act crazy and it's contempt of court or whatever, if you try to act a certain way and they know that you're trying to get out of it. Or you feel like you're giving them what they want and they really don't want you. You're playing into their hands. So what happened here is some of the people who clearly shouldn't have been on there, I thought, they picked them anyway. It's like, oh, wow. And the people who I thought they were going to absolutely take, they were like, no, we don't need you. So you never know how that's going to work, because I think they're arguing two different sides. They want a fair and balanced jury. They want to feel some people out and say, hey, you support the defendant's cause, and then there's some people who also support the plaintiff's cause. That's what they're looking for. Either way, I didn't have a dog in the fight. So, and for the reasons I can't mention, I can't tell you why I didn't have a dog in the fight, but just trust me on this. That's what jury duty was like. Show up, you've got to, but if you live far away or, whatever, that may not be enough. You may have to have a religious reason. You may have to have a personal reason. I'm not telling you this to get out of it. I'm telling you this so that you know, because they don't really educate you. They send you these little pamphlets here, and all this stuff can be intimidating because it's really wrecking your work week. Like, if you had to go and you had nothing else to do, you sit at home and you watch NCIS and Law and Order and all that stuff, you might be like, boy, oh boy, I love being nosy. I'm going to see what's going on. I don't do anything else. Maybe this is a chance to get some money. Cool, cool, cool. And don't expect to get paid. Don't expect to be paid right after. No, this is going to, the duration of the trial, and when that ends, and then maybe after the other people who are on trial get paid, then you get paid. So a little $50, I'm not seeing that anytime soon. It might be when I forget all about it, sometime in the summer, that I get it. Who knows? They say 10 days after, and these were moving pretty quick, so we'll see. But even though I was released, I still got to call back Sunday and find out what the deal is, because they may need you again for something else. I don't know. It's just a whole mess, and it needs to be done differently. But have you had jury duty before? How many times? Did this video help you out? Did it give you some information? You got any questions about any of the rambling I was doing? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys. We're at 1,000 subs. We're at the 4,000 watch hours. These videos are monetizable again. Let me know what it is you want me to talk about next, and I'll get on that. And we're going to take over this whole 2020 year, and we're going to see past it and be into 2021, if that makes any kind of sense. See you in the next video.